who has a documentary. The guy who never wanted to talk about himself now has to talk about himself. Barry Sanders. It's called Bye Bye Barry. Why did you do a documentary?
Why did I do a documentary? Actually, the timing was right, Dan. I actually had a chance to talk about a lot of other people besides myself. Who were important to me. The good folks at NFL Films and Prime Video, really wanted to get behind this project. And for me, it was time to, or for me, I felt like I had time to just, really devote to it, sit down and kind of try to tell my story in a certain format. So I think all the right, excuse me, all the right things just kind of came together. I wrote a book in 2023. I'm sorry, in 2003, 2004. A lot has happened since then. But I think to answer your question, though, I think just, the timing was right.
But you never wanted to talk about yourself.
That's true. And when you see the doc, you'll see that still, Dad does most of the talking.
He always did.
He always did. He always did. So even in this documentary, my dad does most of the talking, and I just have a few parts here and there.
Well, I remember when your dad said you're no Jim Brown, and it really hit me. I'm like, your son's pretty good, and
you liked that, didn't you? You liked that line from him, didn't you?
I did. I was like, okay. And I realized you were never going to be, your dad's favorite running back.
Which is okay, but because even as a kid, he would always talk about Jim Brown, and so from a very early age, I was programmed,
But were you always trying to get your dad to finally say, you're great, or you're my favorite running? I don't know if you were seeking Dad's approval on this thing.
I don't think that ever even crossed my mind, honestly. I knew that I knew that I was at least one of his favorites.
What did you learn about you in this documentary?
What did I learn about me? I mean, I don't know that anything just really stands out.
But other people talking about you that maybe you didn't realize how they felt at the time or what they think now. Did you? Your kids?
I didn't realize how much you got on my case at draft day.
You were terrible that day.
You were getting.
You were terrible. I go out there to cover the draft. You get selected. I can't find you. I'm out there specifically to interview you. And then I have to tell ESPN, they go, I thought you're friends with Barry. I said, so did I. I can't find him. And then I'm like, I was mad at you. I was like, what are you doing here?
Hey, look, I was at home waiting for an important phone call, man.
But once you got drafted.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Once I got drafted, I'm sure it took me a while to get out of the neighborhood.
Oh, stop. Stop. Who did you think was going to draft you?
No, I knew that, or I had a good idea that the Lions were going to draft me, just because of conversations that I had with Coach Ponce beforehand, where he explained that, yeah, if I'm available at 3 or whatever, then they would pick me, which, I mean, you never know until it actually happens. You never know until it actually happens, but that was sort of my expectation going into the draft.
The documentary is on Prime Video. It's called Bye Bye Barry. You lose that game, your last game. Your agent, Peter Schaefer, calls me and says, you can't use this information. Barry is going to get on a plane. He's going to London. And he's going to retire. Why London? Why did you need to get out of Detroit, get out of the country?
Well, for me at the time, it just seemed like a really good idea. I knew that there would be some fallout, and I had been to London before. Um, Kind of knew how to get around there. And so it was just kind of getting away as far away from everything as possible, but still a place where I was somewhat familiar with. And so that was really the thinking. It was, and just to kind of, I guess, try to clear my head, if that's the word, or just to, because there was a pretty good fallout, and so that's kind of what I was thinking at that time.
Did you love football?
Are you serious? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think you love basketball. I think you were great at football. And then when you don't win, then I mean, you walked away.
No, I definitely love football. I mean, maybe I like them equally, or I certainly enjoy playing basketball as well, in my free time. And even even as a player in the NFL, I play a lot of basketball, but there's certainly just different games, in a lot of ways. But I think I had great love for both of them. But I certainly love football and had a passion for it. And I think, it's different when you do it for a living, and you do it as long as I did it. It can become sort of a sort of a different sort of relationship with the game. But no, I would definitely say I loved it, and even still enjoy it to this day.
I mentioned, I think it's in the documentary, that there's nobody I've ever covered who's been like Barry. And I remember when you called me and said you were getting a new car. And do you remember this? And you didn't want to get anything flashy, but you were worried this might be flashy. And you were getting a Honda four-door Accord. And you said, "Is that too fancy?" I go, "No, I think it's pretty good. I don't think that's too flashy there."
I don't remember that specific conversation, but I did. It was actually an Acura I owned, which is kind of a Honda. I think that's the car you're referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be a rich guy's Honda, is the Acura. So, yeah, you go. Plus, when I went into your house, you had a couch and a TV and nothing else.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're talking about, days fresh out of college, so I was, my decor was, dressed up like the dorm room.
If you guys, okay, here's something I know you told me a long time ago, that maybe if you could have played for the Raiders, you would have continued to play football. Remember saying that? You grew up a Raider fan.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly grew up a big Raiders fan, and I don't know, once I got toward the end of my career, I don't know when I told you that, but that sounds like something I would have said maybe at the beginning or middle, but I don't know that at the end of my career I would have felt the same way. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they went to a Super Bowl, I guess, a year or two after I retired.
You're the one that brought it up because this was towards the end of your career.
Was it?
Yeah. Was there any thought of you playing elsewhere at the end of your career?
No, not really. That's not something I ever insisted on or had a conversation about with the team. So it's not something I ever actually put any energy towards. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I could hear myself making that statement, but but no, it's not something I actually, tried to make happen.
What do you think of the current lines?
Oh man, guys look good, man. Guys look good. Guys, I mean, I think this is what a lot of Detroit Lions fans have been hoping for and waiting for. I think, a lot of us really, this season in particular, knew that this team definitely had a chance to win the division, to really do what they've done, and be one of the one of the top teams in the NFC. You got your work cut out for you, obviously, with Philadelphia, with the Niners, with the Cowboys, even if there's a few others in there, the Seahawks, whoever else, but certainly the Lions are at the top of the class at this point. Um, you look at the kind of football they're playing, and I think it's certainly a recipe for success. You look at the quarterback play and the receivers, the running backs, the defense, and you look at the strip sack that in the game by Aiden Hutchinson on Sunday. You win a game where you turn the ball over a lot. So I think this team can go a long ways. If they stay healthy, the kind of culture that Coach Campbell has instilled, kind of expectations, and then also just the players that he's been able to get in the building, and this team I think is just getting started.
Take me back to when Joe Montana's leaving San Francisco and he wanted to play for the Lions because he wanted to play on the same team as you.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, Coach Fonts tells the story that, that Joe called him up, and he was excited, obviously, and said, Joe said he wanted to come and play in Detroit. This was obviously as he was leaving the Niners and before he signed with the Chiefs. And Coach Fonts took that word back to the organization, and I guess they thought Joe Montana was too old or whatever at that point, and so the deal didn't happen. I feel like, by the way, one of his last games, regular season games with the Niners, was against the Lions, and he just tore us up. He torched us. Montana did. But anyway, so obviously he goes on to the Chiefs and has a couple of great years there. But wouldn't that have been something? Wow. Wouldn't that have been something?
Yeah. Well, maybe it would have been a different documentary.
Absolutely.
It would have maybe ended differently than you in London.
So.
Yeah.
Maybe so. You get a guy like that in the building. No, you get a guy like that in the building. Obviously, he was the greatest in a lot of our eyes, and certainly the greatest in that era. So no, yeah. I mean, but yeah, anyway, it's certainly just a great story that Coach Fonts told, and so really, but the highlights though is that some teams make great decisions, and on personnel and what have you, and you see why they have success, and you see why others don't.
Hope you're doing well. Hope the family's good. I've been seeing the documentary. I keep waiting for Amazon to send it to me. Is there any footage of us playing basketball?
There's no footage of us playing basketball, but you definitely have a good piece of the film.
Okay.
You're featured in there for sure. So don't no fears there.
Do I get anything? Is there residuals? Am I getting paid? And if there's awards,
hey,
what am I getting?
It's in the mail, man. It's in the mail.
Seriously? Okay, I'm going to believe you. You wouldn't lie to me, would you?
No. Hey, no. It's in the mail, man.
I appreciate that. All right. Well, good luck with.
Well, thank you. Actually, thank you.
You're
being
welcome.
A part of it,
yeah, about time you got around to saying something nice about me.
Yeah, I'm always complimenting you. What do you mean?
Who are you complimenting me to? Your wife? Your kids?
Everyone.
No, you
to
don't.
Everyone.
No, you do.
To the world.
Your dad said that I was his favorite sports broadcaster, though.
My dad said that?
Yeah. I was number one.
oh yeah, he said that, right? Yeah, I'm sure he did. Right. Exactly.
Good luck with the documentary. Great to talk to you again, Barry.
Hey, Dan, appreciate it, man. Thanks for the time.
That's Barry Sanders.